Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you game 1 and a shoutcast between FXO's BabyKnight versus Zazu here on Cloud Kingdom. BabyKnight spawning as the blue Protoss player on the top right hand side of the map. Meanwhile Zazu, the red Zerg here on the bottom left hand side of the map. This is once more Cloud Kingdom game 1 in a PvZ. Now with Heart of the Swarm just around the corner, I'm starting to think that a lot of the games in Wings of Liberty will perhaps become a little bit more stale as players aren't really investing a lot of time and energy into developing new strategies. They're really just trying to hone in on what we currently see, being able to perfect those build orders, get slight advantages as the game is already getting underway. Now, what do I expect to see in this particular series? I expect to see a Forge Fast expansion. Interesting positioning here from BabyKnight, actually placing the pylon up on the high ground. It is going to force a drone, if it does try to scout, to actually make its way inside the main base to figure out if he's going for a pylon gateway inside or if there is going to be a Forge Fast expansion outside. Taking a look so far, BabyKnight now going to be coming up the ramp, and the strategies will start to develop. Always a very good idea to do some early scouting to know what your opponent is doing. Now, this scout does have a bit of a cost. Every minute that this probe is away is essentially 50 minerals lost forever, or lost in terms of timing. But BabyKnight knows that as long as he knows if a spawning pool is placed down, he knows what the timing is and what to expect. BabyKnight does see that the spawning pool has been placed down in the back of the base here, and he knows that he can just do a little bit of harassment. The key thing to also note is that Zazu is going for an extractor. With that extractor, he should be able to get up 100 gas fairly quickly, and I would be surprised. No, it looks like BabyKnight still feels very confident in getting this Nexus. Normally, if your opponent is trying to go for metabolic boost early on, you do not want to give him that advantage in the early game with speedlings, as speedlings can run amok inside. BabyKnight may be forced to just place down a whole bunch of pylons and hope for the best. Now, an interesting thing to note here, BabyKnight actually has a little bit of sight up onto the high ground just because of the positioning on that pylon. It won't be able to spot this Overlord here. Zazu, perhaps knowing that the pylon could actually scout down to the far side, make sure of that. Forge is going to be completed. We can see a photon cannon perhaps down here as well, and once that photon cannon is down, we are going to actually only see the probe sitting here, perhaps trying to fend off a large attack here. Well, we need to see perhaps a gateway. There is going to be a little bit of a cancellation. Zergling's already running across the map. Will they be able to get there in time? There still needs to be about another 18 seconds or so, and there is that probe, there is that pylon, and a beautiful position there nonetheless. With that pylon there, and now you can see this pylon here, it may actually get taken down. That may be a little bit of a concern as the photon cannon is now up. This pylon will simply most likely be canceled, or will it actually come to completion? It looks like it will be completed, and now BabyKnight has completely sealed himself in. This scouting probe, on the other hand, still taking a look around. An interesting thing to note, that the Nexus has been completed before the hatchery has started for Zazu. Zazu is going to have a bit of an uphill battle to climb as the probe, it could have warped in a pylon and tried to delay this, as we now see the probe has been taken down there by the Queen. Zazu not one to give up just quite yet, already transitioning into a Baneling's Nest, and a Baneling's Nest could in fact spell a bit of trouble. Now, double pylon here, meaning that the Zerglings and the Banelings will be forced to come through this single very narrow passage, and even with that single very narrow passage, the Zealot is gonna end up getting surrounded. A horrible loss by BabyKnight. BabyKnight going to lose a Zealot only after killing one Zergling, and now we need to see a Sentry get chrono boosted out. Perhaps he knows that Banelings are on the way. Sentries do take a bit of time to warp in. The Cybernetics core obviously completed up here on the high ground, adding in additional structures to this wall off, making sure that this is going to be successful. Is the force field going to come in? Is it? There it is, a beautifully done force field. Ruptures one Baneling, and BabyKnight looks like he may hold this This is going to be a very, very, very close. BabyKnight now. Oh, the banelings are going to crash through. Yes, there it goes. A photon cannon is in the back there. Sentry is not going to be able to make it through and make it out in time at all. Photon cannons are done as the Zerglings now running amok inside. The probes are fighting back. But as you all know, probes are not the counter to Zerglings. Neither are sentries, as the probes are just looking to dance and deal a bit of damage. What will those Zerglings be doing besides running laps inside the base? It looks like they will be dying to the fusion cutters of, or the particle beams, excuse me, of those probes. It looks as though a couple more Zerglings will get taken down, but BabyKnight still with a significant economic advantage, 34 compared to 26. More drones are being added. But the opening segment of the game, very, very strong for BabyKnight, as he has a 46 to 34 supply advantage. Now, what are the options for Zazu? Zazu is currently sitting up on 2 bases. He is behind economically, and he needs to really train up a lot of drones. At this stage, I would consider setting up a macro hatch inside your base. You do not want to try to take out or take up too much territory at this point, but you still need that added production. Also, early on in the game, when you are behind in tech and you need more production, that is an obviously safe choice. Zazu now transitioning into double extractors in the natural and 1 more extractor at the main. So he is going to be going into 4 gas play. There's the tech to tier 2 already coming in at the natural expansion. It looks like Zazu opting to go for higher tech in terms of production. And I still agree with this. The reason why I originally said that he needed a macro hatch was, with only tier 1 units, he needs a lot more larvae to really train up a strong army. If he goes into tier 2 and say perhaps gets an infestation port or even Mutalisk, infestors trade better if you consider larvae versus the production on a gateway of some sort. We can see that BabyKnight now going into a 5 gateway play. No, a total of 6 gate play. So we are going to have 6 warp gates off of 2 base. And this is going to be very, very dangerous for Zazu. Zazu will have to hold this line, and Zazu really digging deep, getting in 5 spine crawlers. Now, it is also important to note that BabyKnight has no sight up onto the high ground here. And with no sight up onto the high ground, he's not going to be able to warp in onto the high ground, and he's not really going to be able to pressure his way through all of these buildings here. Now, I am still kind of curious as to why there was a spire as opposed to an infestation pit. The spire, sentries the sentries do attack air, even though Mutalisks do generally rip apart sentries, unless the Guardian Shield is up and effective with also armor upgrades, which we do see coming in from the forge here, Protoss Ground Armor 1. Alright, so there's the Spire, there's the Zerglings, the reinforcements will be coming in. BabyKnight knows that there is in fact a lot of spine crawlers here, and what are they trying to do? Stalkers are now going to try to push in here. There's the Guardian Shield, and are we perhaps going to see enough transfusions? Spine crawlers are in position as well. Banelings do not have burrow, so they will not be able to perhaps get some burrows down here and detonate onto those sentries if they try to come in a bit too close. Zazu really, really digging in his heels. And what can BabyKnight do behind this? He can pretty much do anything he wants, including setting up a 3rd base to maintain that economic advantage. Alright, BabyKnight's going to end up losing this pylon here, and may have, in fact, lose the Zealot. No, the Zealot does, in fact, have armor upgrades, and weapons upgrade, able to deal a lot of damage to these Zerglings. Down goes that Zealot. BabyKnight in a very strange position now. He has a very large army, but he's unable to really capitalize on it at all. You can take a look. If Zazu actually placed down some creep tumors here, he would be able to get creep to spread across the map without actually revealing it to his opponent. The Banelings are now trying to move out. Oh, this is not looking good. Banelings are now pushing their way in. Banelings splashing, taking down sentries. Beautifully done, as the Zerglings are now trying to make their way in as well. The Mutalisks are dealing a lot of damage. The Guardian Shield is finally up. Zealots are caught on the wrong side, and without those sentries, those spine crawlers are going to be able to deal a lot more damage in addition to those Mutalisks. The Mutalisks are now out and about in a beautiful, beautiful tech switch by Zazu. 10 Mutalisks on the field, and now the bases are a bit in trouble. BabyKnight, let's take a look at this here. The Mutalisks going after the spine, or the Stalkers. One Stalker already down. A 2nd Stalker may get taken down as well. It looks like it is on the run, down to 47, 40 hit points. Pulls back after it does see a whole bunch of photon cannons here. And now we see more Stalkers warping in. Is it going to be enough? It looks like one Stalker may get taken down from BabyKnight. Another one is able to regroup and warp in next to that pylon. Safely done, as the Stalkers are now reclaiming control of the sky, especially with that research into Blink. Now, Zazu is still behind here. He needs to get up a third base. He can see that BabyKnight is establishing up his third base. Sentry's Mutalisk still trying to engage here, as the Zergling is now trying to do another really strong push. Mutaling, the classic Mutaling, as we also see a Colossus in the group. The Colossus is getting attacked. It looks as though no, Zazu's not going to fall for it, perhaps knowing and remembering that his opponent did just randomly have a Colossus all of a sudden, but there is also one Archon in there, dealing a bit of splash damage. Zazu able to retakes a little bit of map control, placing down a hatchery. He is still behind. Harvester count is 67 to 42. Army compositions are still in favor of Protoss, but ever so slightly. Actually, no, now starting to be in favor of Zerg if you count into total cost, as Mutalisks are rather expensive. 71 probes versus 47 drones. That is not looking good at all. Total losses higher for the Protoss. There are a couple of photon cannons here, and those photon cannons may get taken down. All right, going after the photon cannon here. Stalker is able to blink forward and catching many of those Mutalisks. Another Mutalisk gets taken down, and BabyKnight just hoping that his overall income will give him the rest of that advantage. You can see 900 extra minerals, 250 extra gas. And with that, in about a minute and a half, this resource discrepancy will really just be all for naught, as BabyKnight already sitting at 147, Zazu sitting at 100. And what is going to be happening next? Zazu really liking these spine crawlers and training up a lot of them. I am surprised that we haven't seen perhaps a transition into Immortals, but Void Rays are still a very strong call, as BabyKnight now getting in additional gateways. Templar Archives does not have Psystorm research. No sign of that just quite yet. And we are going into a Stargate, so we may in fact get Phoenixes with that +2 range upgrade. And if that is the case, that +2 range upgrade will shut down these Mutalisks, as the Phoenixes can really dance around those Mutalisks all day and take them down. Zazu now perhaps trying to get his way into Infestor Broodlord, already getting into level 2 weapons upgrade on these Mutalisks. Mutalisks will be dealing 11 damage per attack. Glaive Worms will be dealing a lot as well. We are 3 bases to 3, but BabyK is actually a little bit split in terms of his army. Zazu, on the other hand, spine crawlers here, massive number of spine crawlers here. You can take a look. That is such a large number of spine crawlers. How many total is that? Is that over 24? No, just 21 spine crawlers currently on the field. And you got to remember, each of those spine crawlers were originally a drone. Most Zerg players do not normally do this. Phoenix has scouted out this base off over here, as we now see it is going to be 4 bases to 4 bases, or at least an attempt to be 4 bases to 4. Psystorm finally being researched, pathogen glands being added. We are going into Hive tech. We are also going into Zerg Carapace level 1 upgrades. 9 more Mutalisks being added, so this massive Mutalisk ball is going to become very, very deadly. More photon cannons being added as well. BabyK is saying, you know what? If you're going to go for static defense, so am I. I'm going to be warping in a whole bunch of photon cannons, and what are you going to do about it? Stalker sitting at 2-1 upgrades. We are going into a mothership already. Still don't have the level, the range upgrade on those Phoenixes, and don't even see a Phoenix at this point. So perhaps the Archons are trying to get in a toilet onto those Mutalisks and then allowing the splash damage to take it the rest of the way. All right, massive number of Zealots running straight into a group of Mutalisks. This is not looking good, and the Zealots are simply going to fall as they try to make their way over. A complete, utter destruction. BabyKnight losing so many Zealots for free, and now we see a massive, massive resource discrepancy. Stalkers now trying to make their way in. Oh, that's going to be bad. Mutalisks getting underneath, or Stalkers getting underneath those Mutalisks, and what a sad, sad engagement this is. Zazu now needs to back away with those Mutalisks. The Mutalisks do not have faster hit point regeneration. This is not, I repeat, not Heart of the Swarm, as a Psystorm comes in just in time. Massive Psystorm, but a whole bunch of probes lost there. Wow, that was a huge loss. But the Mutalisk ball is taking a lot of damage. And wow, the Mutalisk already down to 8,800. The Mutalisk count now down to 7 from an original 25 plus. Drones now on retreat. Zazu, once those Mutalisks are taken out, pretty much all threat has been neutralized. It is 4 bases to 4 bases, or will be soon once this base is established. Hallucinated Phoenix, drone now still making their way down. Zazu needs to move all of these spine crawlers over, but he will not be able to. BabyKnight looking to be in an absolute dominating position here once we get into the mid-game. Probes now being transferred over. What is going to be happening next? This is all looking oh so close. Archons, Stalkers now making their way around the map. Mutalisk now still coming in as well. One Overlord in the air, still keeping track of all of this. I'm surprised that BabyKnight has not yet shot this down, as the Stalkers still do not have a single observer on the field. We'll finally be able to clean up some of these creep tumors and perhaps go in for a final push. BabyKnight has been playing this game very well. Now already having up a mothership, will be able to move out momentarily. If the mothership actually just sat right here over those photon cannons, I don't believe anything could really take it down. Especially with a High Templar underneath, Psystorm to take down a couple of Corruptors if the Corruptors do in fact try to focus that unit. And now it looks like BabyKnight is ready to do a final push. Here you have it, observers. An observer just revealing all of these creep tumors. BabyKnight wanting to make sure that there is no movement speed advantage, as the spine crawlers are now positioning themselves in a new defensive posture. Down we go. Overlords are getting taken down, and both sides with a very large bank. Is Zazu perhaps sitting on a lot of larva? No, sitting on only 17 massive spine crawlers. And here we go. Here comes the engagement. All the spine crawlers are now trying to back off. This is not looking good. Queen, Infestor, Broodlord now coming in, and the Broodlords are going to be dealing a lot of damage from a very far distance. The Broodlords are upgraded 2-1. Infestors are getting off a lot of fungal growth, and this is going to be a good trade by Zazu. Zazu actually digging deep and finding a way to actually deal damage here. Broodlords and Broodlings just eating apart so many of these Stalkers, as there is still a 50 supply discrepancy. Stalkers now looking to clean up the far side of the map. There's another cancellation. Mutalisks are getting picked apart. There goes another one there as it gets shot out of the sky. BabyKnight sitting on a 90 supply advantage, and I can't believe what I'm seeing, but Zazu is doing such a great job holding his own, trying to make sure that that these Broodlords are able to, these Broodlords and these Queens and Infestors are able to work together. The Queens healing some of those Broodlords and making sure that they stay alive here, prolonging their life and adding in a little bit more damage, as the Mutalisks are perhaps hunting for any units that it possibly can. We can see one Zealot on patrol. It's not going to be patrolling any much longer. Mutalisks have cleaned that up. 2-1 upgrades still. Income still very much in favor of BabyKnight. And BabyKnight, it looks like he's finally ready for this next push. There are Archons. There's plenty of energy on that mothership for a Vortex. Does Zazu have the Neural Parasite? He does have it, but it is 40 seconds away. The mothership core is just a bit too far away to really offer in any help, and this may be the problem. All right, mothership, Infestors, Spine Crawlers, all in position. Plenty of Warp Prisms for backup proxy. And is there an observer in this mess as well? Yes, there is one observer, not quite sure where. Focused. It's on the center of my screen. Okay, I don't see it, but I know it's there because I'm clicking on it right now. Okay, it's inside a Colossus. I'm not quite sure how that phase technology works. Anyways, Warp Prism trying to take down, unable to, Infested Terran, able to shoot it down with little to no effort. 70 supply discrepancy, even though BabyKnight has a huge bank. All right, what do you do when you have a whole bunch of minerals? You build massive numbers of gateways. You can see 22 gateways on the field. And what is that? 18 of them are currently ready to warp in something else. So at any time, there's the battle. Here we go. Stalkers are engaging. Broodlords are falling. Archons are pushing in. Colossi are in the backfield. No Corruptors to really clean this up. And Zazu pretty much will just have to keel over and fall apart here. BabyKnight with a massive army, even with the Archons and Neuroparasite, that is not going to be enough. All of those all of those infestors are pretty much out of energy. BabyKnight still sitting at 196 after losing so many units. And that is the game. A beautiful, beautiful collection of warp gates, allowing to replenish an army almost instantaneously. 5 seconds to build 44 supply worth of tier 1, tier 2, and even tier 3 units in Dark Templars and High Templars. One of the best ways that Protoss is able to get back in a game when they are sitting on a very large bank. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed Game 1 in this series between BabyKnight and Zazu.